Hello guys, in this video I will be going over the BYOB installation, that is build your own botnet, and we will be resolving popular or common bugs such as the payload operation timed out, the bot not being able to connect to the C2 server, ModuleNotFound error, and I'll also be showing you how to do port forwarding so that you can access your C2 server from outside of the VirtualBox, and other bugs that will be resolved. BYOB is available on GitHub via the repository by malware DLLC. So navigate to the GitHub repository. We can either use Git to clone the repository, but I like to download it. So I'm going to github.com. Like this, and then BYOB. Hit enter. It will take you to the code repository, and then we want to download as zip. I'm going to download a zip file. I already have it downloaded, but if you don't already, then go ahead and click on download. You locate the download location. Mine is in my, I'll go ahead and close this browser for now. So I'm going to CD into my downloads folder. When I do ls, you see BYOB master.zip. So go ahead and unzip this to any folder of your choice. So when I go to CD, documents, I created a folder specially for this. I called it BYOB. As you can see, there's nothing in this folder. Okay, so go ahead and unzip. I'm going to put the path to the downloads folder, and then the BYOB code base we downloaded. It's going to be BYOB So when you do ls to list, we can see that we have our BYOB master here. And when you check the content, we see license, readme, BYOB, and then web GUI. So for this tutorial, we'll be using the web graphical interface. So cd into web GUI, and then when we list the contents, we see we have the requirements, startup.sh, and then some other necessary dependencies. But before we start, we'll be running this BYOB via Python virtual environment. So I'm going to create a virtual environment now. So I'm going to do sudo python-m. I'm going to call this bot env to create a virtual environment just for this purpose. As you can see, my bot env is created here. Okay, next we want to install the dependencies. As you can see here, we have the Docker installation. So for the project to run successfully, you need Docker installed. And then to do that, sudo apt-get install docker.io. So run this command and it will install Docker on your laptop, on your PC. I already have Docker installed, so I'm not going to run this, but you should run this to get Docker installed. And then to know that Docker is successfully installed, you can do sudo service docker status. And as you can see, I have Docker actively running on my machine. Next, let's see what we have. Next, we want to install the requirements.txt. But then before we run this, we're going to remove this number 13 numpy, because it's going to cause some installation errors. So I'm going to open it as sudo so I'll be able to edit it. So sudo mousepad requirements.txt, and then I'm going to remove number 13, which is numpy. I'll save it and close it back. Now we're going to install the requirements using the Python binary in the virtual environment we installed. So you do sudo because we have it installed in this location, so it's going to be both env binary pip3. They want to install -r the requirements.txt, hit enter. So this should take a moment to install. As you can see, it's installing the requirements. Okay, so the requirements are successfully installed. Up next, you want to run the startup.sh. So the startup.sh file is going to build some Docker images. You remember the Docker we installed earlier? So go ahead, run sudo startup.sh. Sorry, sudo startup.sh, like this, to cancel if you don't want to run the script, but we're going to let it run. And you might get some errors, but don't worry about that. This should take a moment to install. I'm going to skip to when this is done, and then we'll continue. So finally, we have been able to successfully run the startup script. And as you can see, it's asking us to reboot. Please type yes to reboot. And then we'll continue after the machine is rebooted. Our Kali machine is successfully rebooted now. And then one thing I need to mention is that during the execution of the startup.sh file, you will see a lot of red patches, but don't be discouraged. It does not mean that the whole system is broken. You will still be able to run it after the successful execution. And mind you, it's going to take a while to run. So please be patient. Now we are ready to go. So what we need to do is run the run.py script. So to do that, we need to use the Python binary in our virtual environment we created. So it's going to be sudo bot env binary python 3 this time around. And I want to run run.py. Hopefully it runs. Moment of truth. Enter your password. Okay. Yeah, so these are some of the bugs we are going to fix. It's saying no module named URL like 3.packages.6.move. So we are going to install URL like 3. So to do that, always use the binary in the Python and virtual environment we created. So bot env binary pip3 install URL like 3. Okay. So it's already installed. So we want to update it. So put our dash dash upgrade URL like 3. So it's going to update to the latest version. Sorry, we need to run this as sudo but env binary pip3 install dash dash upgrade URL like 3. Successfully installed. And then if you noticed, it mentioned something about where is it? The 6 module, this one. So we want to install it also. So we're going to do instead of URL like 3 now, we're going to type 6. All right, seems we are good to go. So let's try to run the run.py script one more time. So sudo but env binary python 3 run.py. And as you can see, we've been able to start a server on port 5000. Now you can right click this and go to the link. So if you've made it to this point, congratulations. You've successfully been able to install it and then get it up and running. Mind you, we still have some other bugs to fix. What you need to do is you need to register and create an account. So go ahead, create an account. I'm going to call mine Spider. So sign up and then log in. Impressive. So now we have the control panel. This is where you'll be able to see the bots. For now, we have 0 bots connected to our control panel. And if you come up here to the payloads tab, this is where you generate payloads. As you can see, we have the formats. You can either select the Python script, which you deploy to the target virtual machines, and when they run it, they are turned to bots, or you can create an executable. So this one does not need the target machine to have Python installed, but selecting the Python format requires the target machine to have Python installed on their machine. So let's go ahead and click on generate. So generate payload. So this is the generated payload. Go ahead and download this. BYOB payload successfully downloaded. Okay, now the next step is we need to transfer this payload to a VM that we want to connect to our C2 server, basically to turn them into bots. To do that, I'm going to go to my downloads folder, open a new tab, cd downloads, come on. And when I list, you see the downloaded Python file here. Up next, I'll transfer this onto an Alpine Linux machine that I've already installed. All right, so this is the Alpine Linux that's already running. Check my earlier videos on how you can install Alpine Linux on your VM. So I'm going to log in. Okay, when I ls, you see we have this is just a virtual environment I created some time ago. So I'm going to list again. We have bot Venv. This is a Python virtual environment. Remember, when you are dealing with Python payload, your target virtual machine needs to have Python installed. So that's what it is there. Now we need to transfer the payload we generated from our command and control center. We need to transfer it here. And to do that, I'm just going to go back to my Kali machine and set up a Python server here so I can download this payload on my Alpine Linux. So I'm going to do Python 3-m http.server. So like this. And it's running on port 8000. I'm going to use wget to download this. So I'm going to wget http and then my Kali Linux IP address, which is 10.0.2.4, port 8000. And then the name of the Python payload file, which is BYOB underscore IBA.py. And as you can see, it's successfully downloaded. And when I list now, you see that we have BYOB IBA.py. Okay. Next step is to run this Python payload on this VM and then try to connect to my C2 server here, my control panel. If we're able to connect successfully, we should see an update here. Change my execution privileges here. chmod +x BYOB. So now I can execute it. Now I'm going to run it using the virtual environment I also created on this VM. So I'm going to do bot env binary python 3, and I want to run the BYOB. All right, so it's running, and if all goes well, we should have one bot connected. Okay, it looks like we have an error. So, and what is the error? It says operation timed out. As you can see, I say operation timed out, URL error, URL open error, operation timed out. So this is one of the bugs we are going to fix in this video. What is happening is that it's trying to connect to a particular IP address, and for some reason it is unsuccessful. So in order to fix this, we'll go to our BYOB installation. Let's stop this Python server for now, Control C. So my BYOB, so this is my installation folder. So we have the web GUI, and what you want to do is you want to go into the build your own botnet, this folder here, inside the web GUI folder, build your own botnet. And then what we want to do is we want to edit a file in the core folder. So go to core, inside build your own botnet in web GUI. So go to core, and then you see this util.py. We need to make some changes to this file. So go ahead, open this. I need to open this as root so I'll be able to edit the file. Okay, so basically it's opened the folder as root, so I'll be able to edit. Now, open this util.py, and then when you scroll down, you see a place where it's written public IP here like this. Now, the bot is trying to connect to the public IP of my Kali machine, but then my Kali machine is running on a NAT network, so it's not the public IP won't work. What we need to do is we need to return a different kind of IP, which is my NAS network IP address, this one. So if I do if config, so this is the one I want to put 10.0.2.4. Okay, so I'll go back here and then return URL open http 10.0.2.4. like this, and then make sure to comment this one out. I want you to save this file and close it. Now we are going to restart the server. So Control C and then start it again. When you run that, you will notice we have a connection refused. This is totally fine. Now, what we want to do now as the next step is to do port forwarding to enable access to this particular IP here on our Kali machine. So in order to do that, you are going to need to close this VM and then go to VirtualBox settings. Now just close this. We want to do a port forwarding. So what we need to do is we need to go to settings, network, and then where you see NAT networks, we're going to see this port forwarding here. Then we want to insert our rules. So as a start, we're going to so the guest IP, this is our Kali machine, the IP address where the command and control center is. So you are going to edit this, and as shown earlier is 10.0.2.4. On the port, we are going to enable port forwarding on a couple of ports, starting with 5000. Save this, enter another one. We want to forward the ports 1337. We want to also forward ports 1338. And lastly, we want to forward port 1339. Now, these are the ports being used by BYOB. All right, so go ahead, apply the settings. Oh, sorry. It's pointing out an error for us. It says that none of the host or guest port values may be set to 0. The same port we have here is what we have. We are going to put here. So put 5000 here, 1337 here, 1338, and then 1339. Now click on apply and then it's done. Then go back and restart the machine, and then I'll also start my bot VM. Now we are going to try our server one more time. To do that, sudo env run.py, enter your password. This is crazy, but you can see it's saying connection refused. But to show you what is really happening behind the scene, when you go back to the payload file we generated earlier, let me see this payload file, and you open it. You see this URL open is trying to open a URL link that has been obfuscated in this content right here. When we run this code on the VM in order to turn them into bots, it will try to execute this, then evaluate this this content here, which will run into problem. In order to show you what this is, let's go ahead, copy it. And then I've prepared a script to illustrate to you what is really happening. We are going to replace this long stuff here with the one we just copied from our payload. So go ahead and paste it here. Now, when we run this, you are going to notice what happens. So save it and run. There's a typo here. Remove that extra apostrophe. Save it, run it again. Now, you see what we have. Remember, the payload was BYOB_IBA, right? Now, when the payload runs, the bot machine will try to follow that payload and then get the next instruction, which is located at this address, which is different from what we have as 10.0.2.4. Okay, so now the challenge is to replace this IP address to match our 10.0.2.4 for our Kali machine. Okay, and then there's a script I've prepared just for this purpose. We are just going to run it and then replace this part of the obfuscated code with what we want. Okay, so we are going to run this other code, which I have name encode. So replace this string here with what you've gotten from the payload. Paste it. Now we want to replace this what's called HTTP all the way down here with what we have on our. So we want to replace this, copy it, and then replace this here. So we want to replace whatever we have there that is like this to our Kali machine IP address on the NAT network, which is 10.0.2.4, and then the port is 1338. Now you know why we enabled the port forwarding. Now this will run and create new obfuscated code for us, which we will inject into the payload. So go ahead, save this and run it. Why am I always copying this extra character? Save this, run it again. Now we have a new code to inject into the payload. So we're going to copy this. And then go back to our payload and then replace it here. So I'm going to paste it here and then we want to save it. Save. Close the file. Then we want to remember the payload is only linking to an address. But now the address that has been linked to, as you can see here, no, this other one. Yes, is linking to the stages module. So we want to enter the stages module and also edit it. Now, go to the web GUI folder, the build your own botnet, locate modules, and then we want to edit the stages. Now, remember, this is the payload. This is part of the file that was generated when we generated the payload. So open this, and if you scroll down, you see the same IP address we have here, the 197.210.3, 210.53.233. And if you check, it's still the same as what we have here. It's the same as what we have here. So we want to change it to the IP address of our Kali machine, which is 10.0.2.4. All right, save it. Okay, we are good to go. So now we are trying to resolve these bugs step by step. Save this, and then we want to redeploy this payload onto the bot. Remember, we modified the payload, so we are going to have to transfer this one with the new obfuscated bytes onto the Alpine Linux. So as usual, I'm going to create a server here. It's already listening on port 8000. Bring my Alpine Linux here. First, I want to remove this one. Then wget the new one, http 10.0.2.4 on port 8000, and then we want to download the BYOB_IBA.py. Successful. When we list again, we have this. So this one contains the new IP address. Now, what we want to do is chmod okay, ls again. Now we want to make sure that we are running our server. Now, in order to run our server, remember it's rejecting this one that we put here. So we want to go back to this place and then return it to as it was before in order to be able to serve what's it called, to start our server. Okay, so first and foremost, we want to go back to build your own botnet, core util.py. Then remember, uncomment this line, and then want to comment this one, the change we made the other time, the change we made earlier. Save it, close the file, and then we want to start the server again. So we run the server, and as you can see, it's running on port 5000. So we want to go back, open the link, log in, and then bring up our Alpine machine. Then we want to run it, the payload. We want to run the payload. So it's going to be binary Python 3 BYOB.net. Now we're going to run it, and now you can see that we have a new error as opposed to what we had earlier. Earlier it was telling us operation timed out, but now it has turned to module not found, the imp module. Okay, now we are on to the next bug to resolve. So what do we want to do? Imp is a standard Python library that is now deprecated and no longer supported on Python 3.12, basically the latest version. But there's a replacement. The imp module has been replaced by the import lib module. This imp module is being run from a particular file. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to go to that file and then modify the file to use the new import lib instead of imp module. So we want to go back to our Kali machine. There's a lot of back and forth here, but please bear with me. Okay, so we want to go back to our build your own botnet modules, because remember, when the Alpine machine runs the payload, it comes to stagers here to get the next instruction, and then the stagers points the Alpine Linux to the payloads, which is where this imp module is trying to be imported. So what we can do is we go to payloads. Okay, go to payloads, want to open this, and you see the imp module that is not found here. We are going to try to edit this. So recall I said the imp module has been replaced by import lib, right? So we're going to import lib here, and then we comment out this one, and then we want to search for wherever this imp module was used and then replace it by the appropriate one from the import lib. So I'm going to find imp and then match whole word. So the first place we find it is in the imp.find module. So the import lib has its own equivalence of this, which is what we are going to use. So I've gone ahead and then for convenience written out the necessary files that we are going to need. So we are going to copy this here, copy selection, and then in this place we are going to replace this. So on the next line we are going to replace this imp module here with what we just copied. So we can decide to do it on the next line. So we're going to type file name, description, report, and then we paste what we just copied. All right, and then we comment out the one that uses the imp module. Remember, the imp library was used about 8 times. So we are going to locate the next place it was used and then replace it with the appropriate function from the import lib. Now we go to the next one, which is imp.acquireLock here, and we want to replace it with the appropriate one from import lib. Similarly, we come here, we copy this, come back and paste it. Then I want to comment this one out. All right, so we'll go to the next place it was used, which is this, comment it out, and then replace with the one from import lib. Okay, we are going to do it a couple more times. Comment this one out, and then replace. Sorry. There's a mistake here, but a very minor one. So remember, we are acquiring lock here, so we are going to use acquire. But here we are releasing lock. Okay, so we are going to copy the necessary one to release lock, which is basically this. Or we can just change this acquire to release, but then you can copy the whole thing and paste. So release. Okay, we also want to come here and paste it, release lock. All right, then we want to go to the next place it was implemented, release lock, then comment out the one we don't want, like that, and then on to the next implementation. So here we are going to make use of a different library. So the imp.new module has been replaced by importlib. However, this particular function, new module, can be replaced with a different kind of module from the types library. So we're going to copy this here, copy this, and then paste it here. So we're going to modify it. So mod equal to, then we paste what we copied. So instead of imp.new module, we are going to type types.module type, then we pass in the name, then comment the deprecated one. And remember, since we are using the types module, we want to import it above here. So go ahead and then import types like this. Now you want to save the file, close it, and then we want to restart the server. Restart the server, make sure our command and control server is responsive. Now that we have these changes made, then we can go back to run the file. Remember, the error was no module name imp. Now when we run it again, observe what we will get. As you can see, it's not printing out any errors. So hopefully when we refresh our control panel, we should have a new bot connected to the C2 server. However, depending on your internet connection, you might experience a little delay. So do have to be patient. So I'm going to go to my control panel here and then refresh. ensure to give it time to load. I'm going to cancel it and rerun it. Okay, so as you can see, we have new connection here, and when you refresh, we see that we have one bot here. Okay, so what mistake I forgot to show you was that you have to go to your sorry, your build your botnet from your web GUI folder, locate the modules, then inside the payloads, then open the payloads folder, and then scroll all the way to the bottom. All the way to the bottom, you still have a place where you need to change the host IP. So go ahead, change that to your Kali IP, save it, and you are good to go. All right, so we have one bot. We can also try to run this on another bot to see if it connect. So I'll boot up another Alpine Linux. I already transferred the payload here, so I'm going to run it one more time. And as you can see, it's flashing new incoming, new connection from 192.110. Is viewing my public IP, but in order to connect, you need to impute the NAT network IP address. Okay, and when we refresh, we also see the bots are 2 now. And to confirm what I mean, you can go to any of the bots to open a shell window or a shell terminal, however you call it, to open a shell, and then we can ls, and you see we have, like I said, that the payload we transferred into it, and then the bot Venv virtual environment. All right, guys, please, if you stayed up to this time, please consider giving us a like, subscribe, share, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll be happy to respond to them. Thank you, and bye for now.